Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our first Year Career Plus webinar. We're so excited that you're joining us, and we're thrilled to start this discussion. My name is Taylor Khan. I'm on the Accounting Plus team and will be the host of this webinar series. Before we dive in, I just want to remind everyone to please utilize the chat box to submit any questions you may have for Courtney that this conversation inspires. Your Career Plus, our new monthly webinar series, is going to happen every month. We'll have different guest speakers who will be tackling various topics like entrepreneurship, technological impacts on the accounting profession, ways to create generational wealth, and so much more. Our webinar sessions will be recorded, so you'll have ongoing access to all of the nuggets our guest speakers will share. Today's fabulous guest speaker is Courtney Arrington. I'm very, very excited to be speaking with her today. Courtney is a CPA, a certified public accountant, who owns Arrington Solutions, a virtual accounting practice where she specializes in empowering social media influencers and other small business owners with the necessary knowledge to manage their finances. She's here to talk about the ways in which accounting helps entrepreneurs be successful and to share how accounting can help you leave an impact on your community. So welcome, Courtney. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited for this conversation because I'm sure that there's a ton of things that I'm going to learn myself and so many nuggets that you're going to be able to share for all of our viewers. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, are we ready to dive in?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So we know that you're an entrepreneur yourself and you've used accounting to help other small businesses with their finances. Can you explain more about what ways entrepreneurship and accounting intersect?
Yeah, so I like to think of accounting as the language of business. Accounting is involved in any type of business. So it literally, any business, any industry that you can think of, there has to be an accounting aspect. But when we think about entrepreneurship, you have to be someone who's involved in the accounting simply because you're responsible for the overall success of your business as an entrepreneur. And accounting is going to really drive what your goals are if you're looking to expand, if you want to sell your business someday. All of that is stuff that you have to really be in contact with a good accountant for. And you kind of have to have your own basic understanding and knowledge of it as well. And then there's also tax implications as you go on about your business. So the two are really they you can't have one without the other.
Yeah, and I've heard that a lot when it comes to accounting, that accounting is the universal language for business. I think that is something that's really important for budding small business owners and entrepreneurs to understand, that having that basic foundation of understanding accounting, even if they're not in accounting themselves, but having access to an accountant or understanding the basics of how to manage the finances of their business will help them succeed. So there definitely seems like there's a lot of benefits for people who want to be entrepreneurs to start with a foundation in accounting. For those
Mhm.
who aren't interested in entrepreneurship themselves, can you share how accounting professionals can support and empower small businesses?
Absolutely. So, I mean, when you are a small business owner and you have no interest in accounting, the numbers side of things, the administrative side of things, is just not your jam. You definitely want to outsource that to someone who is an accounting professional, not just with tax knowledge, but also with overall accounting knowledge. And the reason that will be helpful is because, again, if you have specific goals that you're trying to meet, like you're just starting your business, usually the first couple of years you're going to lose money, but an accountant can kind of come in and help you to see where your money is going and also where it is projected to be going. So it really is going to help you as you move forward in your business to kind of get with someone who has that knowledge and understanding of not only doing the reporting and saying, here's what you spend on XYZ, but also here's where I think your business will be 2 to 3 years from now based on the trends that I'm seeing. So it really, again, it's the perfect blend. I say from the very beginning of your business, or when you first go on your entrepreneurship journey, you want to at a minimum have a good consultation with an accountant just to kind of see what your first step should be.
Yeah, and I really love and appreciate the fact that you highlighted that accountants don't just help businesses with taxes. I think that that's like a huge misconception about the accounting profession as a whole, is that all accountants do taxes. And
Mhm.
that's clearly that's not the case. Accountants can play a huge role in the direction of the financial success of a company because, as you said, they're the ones that are tracking the trends and are providing their insights to help business owners make their next decisions. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Um, in your experience, when it comes to finances and other accounting related themes, what are some challenges you have seen small businesses face? And how have you and or accounting helped them overcome those challenges?
I would say the first and probably the biggest one is just overall compliance. You really don't know what you don't know, and there are so many different laws at the state level that a lot of people don't, they're not aware of, and they change from state to state. So if you're getting your advice from a friend who's in another state who's like, "Hey, I started my business, I got an LLC, I did this, this, and this," and you try to follow that path, or someone who maybe has like advice on Twitter or whatever, and you try to follow that same path, it may not be a good fit compliance wise for your business. You might have specific licensing in your state, or certain fees that you have to pay, certain taxes that you have to pay that may not apply to other people that you're getting your advice from. So I usually tell people in the very beginning to consult with a professional, someone who has knowledge in the area where you're going to be doing your business, because it can vary from state to state. So compliance in that realm, but also from a tax perspective, a lot of people may not understand that it's more sometimes than just your federal income taxes. Again, you might have payroll taxes if you have employees, or determining if you have an employee or a contractor. There's so much nuance, and a lot of people miss that because they're looking at Google, or they're looking at tips that they've seen on TikTok, and they're not getting specific enough to their business. A lot of what I think of it as kind of like a snowflake. There are no two that, there's not a one size fits all approach. You really have to look at what is best for your business and your career plans overall. So compliance is probably the biggest issue I see with small businesses getting started.
Now, when small businesses are getting started, when do you think is the appropriate time for them to bring in an accountant? Should it be when they are at the start of even like ideating their business plan? Should it be when they've had their business plan already fleshed out? When is the best time for them to jump in?
Before they even start. And a lot of times people will think, well, I don't really need an accountant yet. I'm not even making any money yet. But the reason why you want to consult with someone, this doesn't necessarily mean you're hiring a CFO from day one, right? You might not be at that level. But if you're about to start a business, you really want to consult with someone, just like an attorney, right? In the beginning, you want to consult with them. You want to figure out what's the best taxing structure for what you're about to be doing. Also, if there are particular like state registration things that you need to do, the accountant can kind of direct you in that area as well. But you want to make sure you set yourself up for success from the beginning, because a lot of mistakes that you might make are very expensive. And if you have to go back, sometimes there are additional penalties and fees for trying to go back and fix something that you should have done from the very beginning. So if you're like, hey, I have this great idea for a product, or hey, I have this great idea for a business and I'm ready to start, now is the time to sit down and just have a one-time consultation. Hey, here's what I'm thinking about doing. What do I need to know? That's the first step.
Yeah, I think it's really important that you mentioned that because I come from a family of entrepreneurs. And so you hear a lot of the talk about what's the best way to conserve cost. You know, we want to save as much money as we can when we're starting out because you want to have the chance of making the most money from your business idea. But to your point, it's better to make the investment into someone who's 100% knowledgeable on a topic as opposed to trying to wing it yourself and then being hit with all of those penalties and fees
Mhm.
that might be more expensive than that initial consultation with an accountant. So that's a very fair point. Um, as an accountant working with entrepreneurs, what skills and traits do you believe are crucial to start a business? And I know that there are probably so many that you can think of, but for the purpose of this conversation, why don't we narrow it down to maybe top five that you can think of?
Okay, so I think that vision is very critical. It's so much more than just being good at the thing that your business is going to do. So let's say you're like a makeup artist and you're going to go full time with that. It's so much more than just being good at makeup application. You have to really have vision for what type of business you want, how you see that business growing over time. Are you thinking about having a bunch of yous, like multiplying yourself and having a bunch of different people who can do business or do makeup under your business? Or do you want to be someone who's doing makeup for a film? Or, just having the vision and the foresight to be able to see overall in the future what you want your business to look like is going to be the first element. The second thing I think that is so critical is being able to think at a high level like a CEO and not just like the person doing the work. It's
Mm,
really hard for a lot of people to delegate and to kind of let go of some of that control because it's their baby and they're really passionate
mhm.
about it because it's their business. But you have to, in order to expand, in order to grow, there are some things that you'll have to give up. Maybe you're not the best person to send out that newsletter every week, or maybe you're not the best person to do the intake process for new clients who are interested in working with you. So just being able to delegate and think at that CEO kind of level is going to be really critical for you as well. But another really important thing is just overall having the drive to keep going. No one's gonna check in on you. No one's saying, hey, this is due at this time, or hey, you have to get up and work today. If that's something that you need as a nudge, then entrepreneurship is probably not going to be best for you. You are responsible for making sure that your business keeps going. You're responsible for retention, you're responsible for overall finances of the business. All of that is you until you delegate it out to someone else. So if you don't have that drive already, then this is probably not the best step for you. And then the obvious thing is customer service. Just as a whole, if you don't have a good heart for customer service and you're serving the public in some type of aspect, then you really should reevaluate if this entrepreneurship thing is for you. Because if your job is to serve the public and you don't have that good sense of like, okay, let me make sure the client experience is a positive one, then it will hurt your business in the long run.
Yeah, and to your point about entrepreneurship and the things that we should consider when you're starting a business. I think that entrepreneurship has grown a new leg in terms of content creation and influencers. And I think a lot of people don't realize that going into the content creation space, going into an influencer space, you are an entrepreneur. Right. To your point, it's like you're the person that is managing your brand. You're the one that's creating your business plan of what you want your brand to be, what you see your content producing in terms of profit, where you see your content becoming? Are you just going to stay on social media, or do you see this? Do you want to start your own brand? Do you want to expand into a new business? And so that's a great point. And I think we are wrapped up with that portion, and I want to dive into our audience Q&A. We have a very robust chat box. So are you ready to dive in?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So one question is, how has your knowledge of accounting inspired or produced business ideas?
Um, so it's funny, I actually started, when I was probably a year into my role when I was working in public accounting, I started the Accounting Struggle, which is a YouTube channel that I have where I was speaking to different issues in accounting, things that I would learn, like just tips and advice, just mainly trying to get people acclimated and comfortable in their role as accountants. And I didn't start it with the intention of it being a business or becoming a business, but ultimately that's kind of where the direction it took. So just the level of creativity that I have and things that I'm interested in, I use my accounting knowledge to kind of connect that. So I love making content, I love recording content, I love talking. So I try to think of creative ways to share accounting knowledge in a way that the common person who maybe isn't an accountant might still be interested in. So I would say probably just being creative and using my accounting knowledge in that way.
I love that you said that. You are just tackling all of the misconceptions that Accounting Plus does a lot of work in in diminishing because accountants are creative and a lot of times they actually have to be because you have to come up with new ways um, to direct business owners on how they should manage their finances. So thank you. Another audience question. Can you become an accountant or work for an accounting firm with a certificate?
So typically a CPA firm is going to want to hire a CPA, someone who is either on the CPA path or someone who has another type of accounting certification that would be relevant to the work that they're doing. That's not to say that you can't get an accounting job without an accounting degree, but it would keep you pretty stagnant in your role. As an accountant, you'll mostly be able to get entry level work like reporting stuff. So basically, like bookkeeping type of roles, accounts payable, that type of thing, without having that broader accounting knowledge and then actually adding on some type of certification or the actual CPA license. So you're going to grow more in your career if you have the licensing. But it is still possible to get started without it.
Okay, awesome. Another question we have for you. What's your advice on what I can do to find a career that fulfills my goal to leave a positive impact on my community?
Can you repeat that
Sure.
question? Okay.
What's your advice on what I can do to find a career that fulfills my goal of leaving a positive impact on my community?
I think when you think about leaving a positive impact on your community, think about what that could be really so many different types of career paths. So I would say, what are your skills? What is it that you enjoy doing? So for me, I knew I cared a lot about financial literacy and making sure that, people in my community had more resources and just the type of help, especially small businesses. That's why I choose to work with social media influencers and people who may not have those resources just readily available, but I still wanted to do something that I was good at. So accounting is something that I had that knowledge in, even though it didn't sound like when you think of careers that are like helping people, you think like a fireman or a doctor. But I know that I'm helping people, I'm helping them fulfill their dreams with their businesses. So when you think about how you can leave an impact on your community and what career you should go with, I would say, what is it that you're really good at? And how are you like what is something that you enjoy doing? And then think of how you can use that to help someone. So start with what your skills are first, and then think about how you can use that to help your community. I would try to, back your way into it.
Yeah, and brainiacs do have a huge impact on our communities. I mean, if you
Absolutely.
look at the Marvel universe, if you look at Iron Man, right? He's a genius. He's not really a superhero, but
Right.
because of how smart he is and he utilizes his strengths and to the best of his ability to help the people that his community. Um,
Absolutely.
Another question we have for you. Can accounting help me create generational wealth for my family?
Absolutely. When you think about generational wealth, I mean, there's so much to unpack there, but when it comes to accounting, going back to how that's important and understanding it is so critical for your business. Even if you don't own a business, let's just say you are a typical employee of a company and you're going to move up and make money. You want to be working with someone who can help you, one, reduce your tax liability so that you're not spending all your money on taxes, but also someone who can help you with where to put your money so that when you're ready to retire, you can do that comfortably, what you can leave behind for your family. All of that is going to go hand in hand with accounting. So, getting with someone, and it might look like a team of insurance people, attorneys, and accountants. You might have to have a certain type of trust account set up, but all of that is going to go hand in hand together. So you really want to just be talking about what your goals are for the future And accounting will tell you the numbers and the steps you need to take to get there, but just let someone who is an accounting professional know, I want to retire at this age with this much money, and they can tell you what the steps are that you need to take in order to get there comfortably.
Great. That's really good to know. Um, what are the top three skills a good accountant should have?
Attention to detail is pretty important. You have to be able to pick up on things because a lot of times the client, they don't know what's important to tell you. So you have to really be someone who is looking at those details, listening, being an active listener, and again, listening to what people are saying their goals are, asking the right questions. Like that's gonna help you unpack what your role should be as their accountant and how to get there. But they're not always gonna come right out and tell you the information you need to answer the questions because they may not know what the information needs to be. So being an active listener, good attention to detail, and time management is critical if you are in the tax part of accounting, especially because everyone in the world has the same tax deadline. So you have so many clients that you have to kind of be able to service in a small amount of time. Same thing with if you're an audit or reporting, a lot of these things have one deadline for pretty much all of the people in the world. So
Right.
you have to be able to manage your time well. And that just looks like being able to get focused. So right now, I'm trying to focus on this so I don't have any other tabs open. And an accountant always has at least 15 tabs open. So being able to really focus and just setting yourself up for success. My phone alerts are off. Like I'm focused right now. So just figuring out how to do that. Those are some important skills.
Awesome. And I even think that those skills are applicable to any profession, you know?
For
So,
sure.
um, so you've mentioned that you're a CPA.
Mhm.
Can you share with us your experience of studying and taking the exam? Any tips and tricks you might want to give someone who's interested in becoming a CPA?
It was a journey. It was a journey. To say the least. So on the accounting struggle on my YouTube channel, I have an entire playlist dedicated to the CPA exam where I have a bunch of videos that just kind of go over my process, how to study when you're working full time, all of that. But I would say some of the biggest challenges that I had was the transition from being a student, which I felt like I was a pretty good student. So I thought the transition into studying for the CPA exam would be extremely similar to studying for the exams that I had in college. But it was more robust and there were some humbling experiences, but overall my journey was I did have to overcome failure because I did have a couple of sections that I didn't pass and had to retake. And so staying encouraged along your CPA journey, remembering why you started, and just saying, okay, what is my end goal and what is the best way to get there? My end goal was to be a CPA. So the only way to get there was to pass the exam.
Mhm.
So I just kept that at the forefront and refused to entertain anything that wasn't that. Um, but yeah, my journey was a long one, but thankfully I had a great team of people that I was working with that kept me encouraged, and yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, and I think it's important for students to know too that like everyone who's taking the CPA exam, they're going through the same experience of this daunting exam that is hard to pass. And so
Mhm.
I also think like it kind of should humanize you a little bit in knowing that you're not the only person that's nervous about taking this exam. You
Right.
know? So there's a community that's behind you and wanting you to succeed. And we are reaching our time. So thank you everyone for participating and keeping this chat box so robust. Before we wrap up, I want to just remind everyone that everyone's journey is unique and what works for you may not work for others. So we encourage everyone to discover the best path for them. And I think that that's something that Courtney has been emphasizing throughout this entire conversation, that you have to figure out what you want to do and what you want to get out of your accounting degree. And so if that's becoming an entrepreneur, if that's like Courtney, helping other entrepreneurs, helping small business owners. If you want to just work for a firm, whatever you want out of it, it's important to identify that and understand that what's going to work for you might not work for the person that's sitting in the desk right next to you in your accounting 101 class. So thank you again, everyone, for participating and joining. Thank you so much, Courtney, for being here. I knew I was going to learn a lot from you. I definitely did. And I'm sure our audience learned a lot from you as well. Everyone, please feel free to connect with Courtney on LinkedIn. She is ready and able to chat with you all, and she also has her own YouTube. Can you remind our audience?
Yes, it's called The Accounting Struggle on YouTube.
Awesome. So that's a great way for you guys to keep track of all the things that Courtney is doing and all of the golden nuggets that she can continue to share with you guys. As a reminder, this will be an ongoing monthly series, so sign up to stay informed about upcoming live events. In honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, join us on October 12th, where we'll be joined by Jonathan Acevedo from Wipfli and Mario Munoz from Deloitte to discuss the topic of putting your plan into action. We'll be sharing tips on how to pick classes, network, choose clubs, so you can have the college experience that puts you on the path to professional success. So thank you guys again, and stay tuned for more information on next month's webinar.
Thank you.